So, Rasheed, it is an absolute pleasure. I was just saying before we started recording, I have been a big fan of Nonpoint for a long time, a lot of UK fans as well. And we're going to get your thoughts on Nonpoint in the UK at the end of this chat. But first, I have a big question for you. I know you can't speak for the rest of the band, but Nonpoint has been around for a long time, making waves across the world with banging
Yeah.
tunes, wonderful albums, and making a lot of people very happy. So I want to ask you, Rasheed, do you consider the legacy of Nonpoint and the legacy of the music very often, or does that kind of not come into your thought process? What do you think about the legacy of Nonpoint and what you've been able to do as a band?
Well, I definitely think about the legacy of Nonpoint because, a big part of our fan base is still all the old school fans. And those people now are older and they bring their kids to the shows.
Yeah.
So, they're still looking to hear like a lot of the old stuff. I mean, of course, we write new music and everything, but we're always, referring back to, how the music sounded then till now. And things are probably a little bit heavier than what we used to do or what the band did before even I was in the band. But, legacy is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned some of those, some of those old school fans and people that have been with you for a long time. Again, another question that sort of goes a little bit deeper. And I know again that, there's, it's a much bigger question if we were looking at the whole of the band. But for you, Rasheed, what have you learned about yourself since the beginning of your time with the band? Since the beginning of the band and everything you've been through, touring, putting out records, seeing that global interest in the band grow and develop. What have you learned about yourself as a musician, as part of Nonpoint, someone that is, has been an integral part of this music that is connected with people all over the world?
Well, I mean, the band taught me just, basically touring, because before I was in this band, I wasn't in a touring band. I was in a few bands before this, but it's taught me the whole life of touring and living on a bus with a bunch of people and just, being in front of bigger crowds than I was accustomed to. And it's taught me a lot in that aspect. And just working with these guys that have been doing this for years, they have insight on the whole industry and things that I didn't, I was never a part of in the past. So Rob and Elias, since they've been the original members, I learned a lot from them, and there's a lot to learn still.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you were to kind of look back on who you were at that time when you joined the band, a fair few years ago now, what would you say to yourself? Like, what lessons have you learned, again, from whether it's from other members of Nonpoint or, just something you learned being on the road? What would you say to your younger self, as it were?
Let's see. What would I say to my younger self? I'd say stock up on baby wipes. Because baby wipes are pivotal to touring, especially when there's no shower. You're trying to keep the bus smelling good.
Yeah.
Stock up on baby wipes, and just keep practicing. Some people get to a certain point and they just like, hey, this is what I do now. But the more I play now and I see some of these younger people now that are playing and they're playing their instruments in a way that I still can't even get to, So keep practicing and be cool with everybody, I try to be, excellent with the fans and never be standoffish and yeah, pretty much that.
Nice one, man. There's some good lessons as well. And in terms of new material, you just put out 1,000,000 watts of singles, and you've got the EP coming out as well. Well, in terms of where you are now with the songs and 1,000,000 watts, Heartless, and the EP, do you feel like these tracks are perfectly representative of the sound of the band, which to me takes the best bits of the old, so the grooves, the heaviness, But then I don't know if it's a bit of a dirty phrase. There's a lot of pop hooks in here, Rasheed. There's that poppy element too. I don't know how that feels to you.
No, I totally agree with that. Just like you said, it's the groove of the old school sound. It's got a newer, kind of heavier sound, but we've got hooks that'll hook you that are that can be poppy. Elias knows how to write a good vocal hook and a chorus, and I mean he's killer on the verses. With his rapid fire stuff. And yeah, man, and I would say it's probably heavier than what the legacy old school Nonpoint, which I was a fan of myself, even before I was in the band. But yeah, we're just trying to take it to a new level, man. We're just trying to stay relevant and write good music that everyone can like. People that are in super heavy stuff can listen to Nonpoint, but also people that are into, a Nickelback song or a Creed song can listen to our songs and go, "That's a good song,"
Yeah.
So we want to appeal to everybody, so that we can, maximize on, our, audience.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. And so, again, looking at that audience and the people that do, kind of invest money to come and see you play live and stream your music, every month, there's, millions of streams now. I did prompt me to ask you, and it's actually especially interesting to ask you because you were a fan of the band before as well. How do you define, it's another question, specific to you really, Rasheed. How do you define success? Because again, you've experienced going from a band that wasn't touring, as much to now then touring, different parts of the world with Nonpoint. How has your definition of success changed since the early, 2000s, whatever, when you joined the band, to now, obviously with this new material coming out, you're still going strong, still getting played, all over the world. How has your definition of success as an artist changed and developed over that time?
Yeah, well, I mean, just it's weird, when you're not in, something that's like a national act, and then you kind of just jump right into it. It's definitely it's a shock, because the first show I ever did with Nonpoint was a festival, and I hadn't done like a big festival like that, and I went from just playing small clubs with my other bands and stuff like that to playing in front of like 12,000 people. And that was a big shock. And I mean, it's really cool to be a part of. And I love the fans. The fans are so cool. And I don't know, man, it's just, it was definitely weird. It was weird to go from, one thing to the other. But I'll tell you right now that I love it, and I never, I wouldn't take it for granted. It's a beautiful thing, man, and it's the best job I've ever had.
Man, I'm so pleased for you as well, and I think that again, couple of questions before we finish up. But obviously there are a lot of fans in the UK who want to see Nonpoint, and obviously there are bands. You're about to embark on a tour with Head PE and others as well across the US.
Yeah.
Are there any conversations around? I realize logistically it is a challenge to get a band over here these days, and vice versa. Are there any conversations about the UK and European fan base for Nonpoint? And you guys coming over?
All the time, man. This is like one of our biggest gripes, is that we don't get over there enough, and unfortunately, like we're not as big as we are here. So for us to go over there, it's just the logistics, and the money is not always what good enough for us to get there sometimes. So it helps for us to pair up with another band. And we just haven't I guess we just haven't found the right bands to go over there and tour with. But it's literally always on the table, and we're always saying it to our manager, and we're always like, we have somebody that works on stuff over there, and we just still haven't worked it out yet. And it's always right at the front of our minds, and we're always talking about it. And I mean, I mean, we almost got something recently that we would have went over there, but it didn't work out. So like we're still working towards it. So UK fans, please don't be mad at us. We're coming. I promise.
Nice one, man. Nice one. Good to hear. And
love you guys.
Yeah, man. Fingers are firmly crossed. Absolutely. Do you have anywhere that you'd like to visit? Obviously, again, you know, I know you can't speak for the whole of the band, Rasheed, but is there anywhere you'd like to go? Anywhere you would always wanted to visit if you were able to come over here? A couple of places that you want to see?
Well, the one time we were over there, we toured with Fozzy.
Oh yeah.
Like it was really cool, man. We played a cool festival in Wales. We played you know, we played all over. We did like Germany and
right. I'll change the question. What was your favorite memory? There we go. We'll change the question. What was your favorite memory from that tour with Fozzy?
Oh, you know what? That was you know what, man? In Manchester, I had the best fish and chips I've ever had.
Yeah.
Ever had. I've been chasing those fish and chips ever since.
Yeah.
Manchester. And I can't remember the name of the venue we played. It was really cool. But I remember some of the other guys all went to a bar somewhere close by. I didn't go, but they told me about it, and I kind of wish that I did. And they said it was a bar, small, underground. It was almost like a speakeasy.
Big Hands, maybe? Is it Big
They
Hands?
had like beers or drinks where they lit them on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know this place?
I think it was Big Hands. Yeah, maybe it was Big Hands. That's what they call it.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, there you go. You see, so some good memories, and hopefully
great over there. I want to go so bad.
Many more to come. Fantastic, Rasheed. Well, thank you so much for making the time for me today.
No problem, Dom.
I'm gonna let you finish up, though, right? Is there any? This is where we check whether I've done my job properly. Is there anything that I've missed, Rasheed, that you want to plug, promote? Any message you want to say to fans of yours in the UK, around the world, or whatever? Well,
UK fans, once again, we love you guys, and I promise we're gonna get over there to you guys. We're just working out the logistics, and we're gonna get there. You know, we're gonna be dropping new music here in like a month or so. So be on the lookout for that. And of course, you already said it. We're on tour in December. Of course, it's not over there, but we're going out with Heppy, Sumo Psycho, and Varsity. And if you haven't heard their music, go check them out. And just be on the lookout for the new music. Stream Million Watts. That's our new single. And yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate it, man.